Greetings, Augies worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, located here in Ridgway, Colorado, and I'm here with another episode of Ask Dave. This is an interesting one. I received this in the mail, and the stamps are from Finland, and I thought, wow, that's cool. And so I opened it up, and here is what Jouni Hiltunen had to say. He's writing from Hainavesi, Finland, and this was written the 31st of August, 2019, and he says, Dave, many thanks for your YouTube series. It has inspired me to restart ham activities 20 years after I passed my test. I have thus far built the QCX kit and the Micro BITX, and after lots of time in lcwo.net, I had my first CW QSO. That's great. I will never win any contests, but I'm having a blast. And you will too, if you're on CW. As a thank you, I'm sending you an old Soviet Union straight key. They were used for type R143 and R159 transceivers and were mounted either in slots on top of the radio or leg straps. Leg mounts are not available, so I improvised one as well as replacing the cable. Hope you get a chance to try it and tell us Augies what you think. It's no longer mil-spec, so don't jump out of airplanes with it. Have a fantastic autumn and keep up the good work. 73 from Jouni Hiltunen, Oscar Hotel 2, Golf Victor Delta, from Finland. And just to answer the question, where on earth is Finland? Let's look. All right, let's zoom this out so we can see the whole earth. Okay, here is the United States right here, and I am right about where the arrow is pointing right there in Colorado, okay? So if we swivel around the globe and come over here to Europe, okay, here is the UK, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, this area over here, and the Soviet Union. And we will find the Nordic nations by coming up and coming in here. There's Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Finland has borders with Sweden, with Norway, and with Russia. And if we zoom down in here a little bit, this is where Jouni lives right here in that little town. And look at all the lakes all over everywhere. It makes you think this is probably very flat terrain. And he's only about 50 miles, now let's see, that's in miles. 50 miles from the Soviet border there. Boy, I'm showing my age. The Russian border. Soviet doesn't exist anymore, okay? And so there's our little geography lesson. Okay, let's go back, take a look at the key. That's, after all, what we're here for. Came in a little bag that's got some Russian on there. If somebody can read that and translate that, that would be a great thing to add in one of the comments. This was the original cable, not very long. So this would be used if this thing were mounted on top of a radio set, or if it were on a leg, it could come over here to a very nearby radio. This plug is apparently common to what the Germans used and the Soviet Union during World War II. And it goes, each one of these has a slot in it, I guess so that in the event it didn't make good contact, you could pull those apart a little bit and make better contact with it. So it's sort of a future-proofing kind of thing, or a wear kind of thing. He put a different cable on it. This is just a standard 1/8 inch mono plug. Now this is the key itself. It's not very big. Let me get this in inches here. It's about a little bit over 3 inches long. If we do it in metric, it's right at 8 centimeters from here to here. Okay, so very short compared to a regular straight key. Let me show you. For size comparison, here is the J38 American key compared to this little key, and here is the CWUS 3D printed key. Okay, so it is a small little key, and certainly does function. Now let's take a look at what is inside of it. It's interesting. See how there's a little bit of a slot right there? So you can pull the cover off without taking that screw out, which is a very nice idea and makes it much easier to maintain in the field. And there's less worry that the screw will go flying off into the mud. So this is the cap. It's painted sort of an olive drab, and it is so light, so light. So the question is this aluminum or is it plastic? One way you can look at that is to do a continuity test with my little Harbor Freight meter here. So this is the lowest voltage that I've got here, and it 1.3 ohms in the cables themselves. But let's just do this. Okay, we've got, so it shows a dead short across any part in here. It has kind of a metallic ring to it. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is aluminum, okay? Now the key has, this part is bakelite, and the bakelite is formed around this metal thing here. Now, bakelite was an early plastic. It was available prior to World War II. A lot of World War II stuff is made with it. This part up here looks to be bakelite also. And then this part down here that it sits on feels like phenolic, which is a sort of a fiber material that was used in the era of World War II. Now there are 3 adjustments. The actual contacts are right here, right there. Okay, you can see it come down. There's a huge amount of movement. The spring adjustment is there, and then in the back is the travel adjustment. Now, the spring adjustment, I wouldn't make it any harder than that. This is screwed all the way down. This is screwed all the way down. This is screwed up somewhat. Now, the contacts come in here and are actually soldered to various parts in here. So replacing the cable on this is not a trivial thing to do. Notice that there is this wire coiled up here, which goes to the key to bring the hot side to the key. And the reason that it's all coiled like that is so that it won't break with use. Now I'm going to try something here. I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to try and unscrew this. Well, it does not want to unscrew. Okay, well, we'll leave that for a future video. I'm going to put some penetrating oil in there and see if I can, because I want to screw this down more so that the travel isn't quite so far on that key. Now, notice here the bakelite, which is what this thing is made of. The mold has, it molded the half right there, down there, and you can see where the mold was on the thing. And it almost looks like it was made in 2 parts, which were glued together or melded together. Now, the thing about bakelite is that it can be very pretty and smooth, and it comes out of the mold that way. Bakelite has fiber in it for strength, and there's a little ridge right here where the mold two halves fitted together. And that's a shame because, you know, that I can feel it right there with my finger. And I imagine after quite a bit of use, by the way, you would grip the key this way. After quite a bit of use, that would get annoying, either that or you'd develop a callus. If you try to grind that off of there, you then expose the fibers. And then you will never get a shine out of it. The shine comes from having the bakelite up against a smooth mold. So that is, now notice this shape of this key on the bottom. It's a wedge shape. It would go into something and stick like on the top of the radio. I'll show you the leg brace in a moment. Now let's take a look at markings. Okay, there is a K21 stamped on there. There's something stamped right there. Now, I don't know, that could be anything. 226, not a 20, 28, maybe 26, 25, 2J. Can't tell what that is. The shape of that bottom there makes me think that was actually a letter of the alphabet rather than part of a number. Hard to say. Hard to say. Note also that all of these screws are straight screws. There's no Phillips screws anywhere on the key. Now, Jouni made for me a kind of a leg strap. Now, the leg straps were used in the war in very tight quarters, like in Jeeps. They'd have the radio mounted in the Jeep, and there really was no place for a desk or anything like that. So the key in here, it's been fixed so that it will slide in to this spot here, like that, see? And then the leg strap goes around the leg, and you wear it pretty tight so that you can operate the key with your hand against your leg. And the Americans had similar types of arrangements there, and this makes the key easy to work with in close quarters because it's right by your leg, and you can get hold of it. It won't fall off the table, it won't get bounced into something else, and so on. It's a very secure place for it. So I'll put the top back on here and add this to my key collection. I'm going to get it behind that washer there. There. And we'll just button that up. Okay. All of the adjustments are inside, so there's not going to be a problem with somebody bumping it or any of the contacts being exposed or anything like that. You'll note that the operator cannot come into contact with anything on it, and the base is insulated sort of from it. So if you stay away from that, you've got a key. This has got quite, it's a nice little key. The travel is too much, but it certainly can work. So, Jouni, thank you very, very much for your nice and informative letter. I'm glad to see that the channel Ham Radio Answers, Ask Dave, is penetrating all parts of the earth. This is pretty amazing. And thank you for this very, very interesting artifact of a time in our lives that hopefully has gone away forever. That's the Cold War. And yeah, when I was in the military, that's what I fought, the Cold War. I was too late for Vietnam, too early for Iraq. So there it is. So thank you very much, Jouni. That is a very interesting little key, and little, by little I mean little key. That's just as effective as any other key, has a nice feel to it, although I do need to fix the amount of travel in there. in order to use it, or I could just keep it as is, as an historic key. I would like to ask you to do something for me. If you are not a subscriber to my channel, please go ahead and click subscribe. You can do that somewhere on the page you're looking at. If you're looking at this on a computer, it's in the lower right-hand corner is a small OG logo. And that OG logo can be in different places depending on what device you're using to view this. But if you click on that, it brings up a subscribe question, and you can subscribe to the channel. Subscribing to the channel does not mean you'll be flooded with emails every time I put up a new video. But rather, it is your vote of confidence in my channel to YouTube, telling YouTube, hey, this is a good channel. The number of subscribers the channel has is kind of YouTube's primary figure of merit. I recently passed 57,000 subscribers. However, there are more than 130,000 ARRL members, which means probably 200,000 active hams. So I've got a long ways to go to grow the channel so that I can offer Ask Dave to everyone in the amateur radio community. I am particularly interested in helping people get their licenses. I've now hired an assistant, and she is going to be the producer to bring everything together to get the general videos up to date. So do please subscribe. If you would like the email every time I update a new video, click on the bell there. That's your notification symbol. And depending on your notification settings in YouTube, you'll get something. Also, check out dcasler.com/support, and that's all the different ways that you can support the channel. And you can put up, there's even a page with some Amazon links on it. I've got the Geiger counter up there from the last video I did. And if you click on that link, you go straight into Amazon. It's regular price, nothing changes, okay? But your buying that article supports Ham Radio Answers a little bit, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you all, and please remember, keep those questions coming to hamradioanswers@gmail.com. That's hamradioanswers@gmail.com, and I'll answer them in the Saturday live stream. So until we next meet, 73.